Vineet, you are somebody who has been really instrumental in my own personal and professional journey. And you have inspired thousands of people like me.
I think the school and family in a certain manner shaped me.
You set up your first company
Yes.
immediately after IIT and you didn't take up any formal employment anywhere.
So after graduation, I had a choice. I could take up a job, which everybody in IIT had. I could go abroad. I had written the GMAT, and I could set up my own business. So I decided to do the third thing, and my family thought I'd gone crazy. But yeah, that was it.
Jamboree is the name for quality education, quality test prep.
I feel education is a very gratifying, and people use the word business, but it's a very gratifying profession.
How did higher education happen and what idea germinated in? I mean, you
When you look at these big names, big internet, Harvard, Stanford, Berkeley, Wisconsin, Madison, you realize that a large part of our kids, large percentage, can actually make it to those colleges. They are not as selective as some of the best Indian colleges here, just because we have so few.
There are a lot of people who want to build institutions such as Ashoka, Jindal and Masters Union. They will say, oh, we want to build another Ashoka, we want to build another Masters Union. Tell me what this takes.
The good news for all of these people is that India needs many more.
Yes.
I think it takes a disruptive idea to create an Ashoka or a Jindal or a Masters Union, which again is disruptive in its own way, I must say. And
Hi, welcome back. This is Ankur Vora, Intersect by Masters Union podcast series. I am so happy and excited that we have yet another distinguished guest with us today, Mr. Vineet Gupta, a leading entrepreneur and an educationist. Vineet, what an honor to have you here with us today.
Thanks,
at
Ankur.
Masters Union.
Thank you for inviting me.
Vineet, you are somebody who has been really instrumental in my own personal and professional journey. And you have inspired, thousands of people like me, students and, people who are building their careers in education now in India, and I'm sure in many other fields. But specifically, since I come from this background and I have shared that connect, I think I was reflecting over our personal connect. I think the first time I met you was in Jamboree in 2013 when you offered me that role of a SAT trainer
Yes,
for verbal
I remember.
faculty. And ever since that day, you have been, I've been blessed that I've been connected to you, and we have had opportunities to collaborate and work together. Your impact in the Indian entrepreneurship and the education sector has been phenomenal. Ashoka and Plaksha and Jamboree, all three of them are world-class institutions that you have built. And and personal honor for me to have you with us.
Thanks so much. You're being so kind.
Vineet, the idea of this podcast has always been to bring the voices who are reshaping the way Indian education is transitioning, especially since NEP 2020. And a lot of the things that were said in NEP 2020, I saw work in action through your own work at Ashoka, and where we work together. I used to head the international outreach at Ashoka, and we got so many brilliant students from around the world to come and study in Ashoka. And a lot of the things that we were saying then, interdisciplinary education, liberal arts education, there is merit to it. I think NEP 2020 really validated a lot of those thoughts, and those are now buzzwords in the country. So why I'm bringing those in is because it shows the vision that you had even in 2013, 2014 and 2015. So I'll like to start from your own personal journey. We like to understand a bit more behind the personality that you are. You are Mr. Vineet Gupta, but I'm sure you have your own personal journey, and I read a bit about it, but I want you to share from your own in your own words, your early formative years, the city that you grew up in, the school that you went to, please.
Thanks, Ankur. Thanks for all the kind words you shared. So I was born in Jind. It's a small town in Haryana. My dad was an IAS officer in the cadre of Haryana. Then I was 1 year old when he moved to Chandigarh. And from that time, that was 1970, till pretty much when I went to class 10, I was in Chandigarh. So, since my dad was a senior IAS officer, it was, I must say, we had all the facilities. But being a government officer, in terms of monetary lifestyle, we were middle class. But yes, it was a comfortable life with all amenities. Being an officer's son, we used to cycle to school.
Okay.
I remember those were some memories. It was a half an hour ride each side. I went to a school called St. John's, which is one of the most prominent schools in Chandigarh, all boys school.
Okay.
And I think some of the early, what we have become today is largely shaped by that school
The St.
and
John's.
by the family, because the school was very strict. It's not the way schools are now. I remember every day our shoes used to be checked. Catholic brothers used to come and check your shoes, your nails. If you were found walking in the corridor, you were hauled up. So it was very strict discipline, lots of emphasis on reading and writing. We see some of that coming into IB curriculum. I saw when we started Ashoka, we set up the Center for Writing and Communication is such an essential part. And I think these schools did such a phenomenal job. And although I was an engineer, I did engineering later on, where we were not taught formally reading, writing. But I think that school education sort of cemented the personality and the reading, writing part of it. My family had great emphasis on doing well. So if you're not doing well in studies, it was unacceptable. The pressure around you was humongous. So there was no choice. You literally had no choice. So I think the school and family in a certain manner shaped me. I became good at math and physics. Then I came to Delhi in 11th, 12th. I went to Delhi Public School, R.K. Puram. I ended up in a section called F section, where everybody was writing the JEE exam. And I remember out of 46 students in our class, 23 made it to IIT.
Wow.
Right? And I think out of those 23, 22 of us were in IIT Delhi.
Wonderful.
So when you walked into IIT after that and people asked you, where are you from? And you said DPS RK Puram, they would say, okay, you're from the factory. Right?
The factory. Acha.
So,
Wow.
so IIT again was a fantastic experience, because...
So just before you enter IIT, was it your own choice or was it like...
Well, I think it was so subconscious, Ankur, that I think the world, you feel the world doesn't give you any other choice.
That's
right?
it.
So being good at math, physics, I was in my school in St. John's, maybe I was in the top 2, 3.
Among the brightest.
Came
Yeah.
to RK Puram, they put me in the F section, because RK Puram had this history of taking students from all over.
Okay.
They used to double the class in 11th.
Okay. So
And
all
Mr.
from all
Lugani,
of
the principal at that time, he used to take the brightest students from everywhere else.
Okay.
And so
Were they offered scholarship to come and study at RK Puram?
No, I think they just created that environment. Yeah.
Okay.
Just created that environment, and so that was the first test, because you saw these students coming from all over the country. And as I mentioned, many of them, then IIT used to be for at least for people who are good with non-medical. JEE was the most aspiring thing to do, and that's what happened.
Wonderful. And then IIT, yes, you're right.
IIT happened, and I must say that very early in IIT, I realized maybe engineering is not my cup of tea. Right?
Okay.
While I was good with math, physics, etc., but really, so I did well in all non-engineering courses. Overall, I was middle of the class, but I got very involved in extracurricular activities in IIT. Right? IIT, I think your peer group, the hostel life is just amazing.
Yeah.
And I think the sort of camaraderie you build and the sort of learning you have in the hostel still carries you through life. I got very involved with extracurriculars. There's an association called ISEC. It's a student.
Yeah, ISEC.
So I became the president of the ISEC IIT Delhi chapter.
Wonderful.
And that, I think, had a deep impact on me, because ISEC pretty much runs like a small company. You raise your own money, you recruit people, there's no senior supervision. And that's the time maybe the seeds of entrepreneurship sort of got sown. And so my big memory from IIT is really the peer group, the hostels, the non-engineering courses, and ISEC, right? And so after graduation, I had a choice. I could take up a job which everybody in IIT had. I could go abroad. I had written the GMAT, and I could set up my own business. So I decided to do the third thing, and my family thought I've gone crazy. But yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and I think that is what I was reading. I mean, you set up your first company
Yes.
immediately after IIT, and you didn't take up any formal employment anywhere.
Yes.
And you say that the interest in business and entrepreneurship came from ISEC, where
Absolutely.
you learned
That
it.
was absolutely.
And before I entered the entrepreneurship part of it, how was the experience in the classroom in IIT Delhi?
Well, it was a rude shock because you realize that everybody else is smarter than you. The grading in IIT is relative, right? So even if you have scored less or more, the top few people get an A grade, and so you're really competing with one another. So getting high grades was tough,
Tough.
right? So it's a real wake up. I mean, first semester you really wake up
Yeah.
because you're all coming from. You think you're academically good, but you realize people are much smarter.
Smart.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
it's a IIT academically is challenging,
Challenging.
and it's a tough system. That's why probably it throws up very bright people who do extremely well later on.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think the selection process and the criteria
Yes.
just to enter those gates, the selection bar is so high, and once you enter it, I'm sure anybody that enters IIT Delhi gate thinks that he's very smart. And once you enter the classroom and then you find 50, 60, 100 other smarter people than you around, and I'm sure that must be a rude shock because
That's a rude shock.
Yeah.
So people adjust to it. Some people excel and do better. Some people like me realize that maybe engineering is not their cup of tea.
हाँ that was interesting. आपने बोला कि आपको पता लग गया कि engineering is not my cup of
Right.
tea, and you said that it was an obvious choice IIT engineering because that was success, and then I'm sure there must be some reflection there which said कि यार engineering नहीं करना है वो कुछ और. तो ऐसा कुछ turning point था उस IIT जर्नी में आपकी जब आपको लगा कि
नहीं ऐसा नहीं. I think over a 4-year period gradually. I don't think
Understood.
it was one incident.
incident.
But over maybe by end of second year, beginning third year, it had started to become clear.
And as you said, I mean, ISEC, residentship, and entrepreneurship.
Yes, the seeds of entrepreneurship were really sown by
there.
ISEC. Yeah.
And then what happened after that? And you started your first
So
company.
I wanted to be in business. My dad, as I said, was a civil servant. He said, everybody was worried, because business back then was brick and mortar. It was not that you could be on your laptop. Many of the e-commerce, many successful
Yes.
startups today, you could be one person in a room with your laptop,
Absolutely.
right? But that time it was brick and mortar. We set up a styrofoam manufacturing company. We bought a old business and we scaled that up. We set up plants across Faridabad, Greater Noida. We were manufacturing for all these consumer durable companies.
Okay.
So that business scaled up. We were one of the larger companies.
And this company was called?
Thermopack.
Thermo. It was like, what were you manufacturing?
Styrofoam. This is thermocol.
Thermocol.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we scaled that pretty much, and and again 2003-4 I started to think that I can't do this it was a tough business. Manufacturing in India can be, at least I used to find it very tough.
Yeah, it is. It is
And
absolutely.
so we had maybe 700-800 people.
700-800.
Yeah, 2 plants, and I was 33-34
Okay.
in 2003-4, and I said, look, I can't do this for the rest of. And by the way, from the outside, everybody used to think this is he's built such a great business.
Okay.
But I said, okay, but we can't do this. I can't do this for the rest of my life. So that thought was simmering with me for a year or two, and then we got an offer for our raw material supplier. For them, this was forward integration, so they wanted to buy us out.
Okay.
And when that offer came, I accepted it.
Wonderful. Okay, super.
It was hard. My family thought, again, what's he doing? But I've never regretted it. I think this was a great decision.
Okay. I think very important, and this is what I also emphasize, that a lot of now I teach and I have a lot of students that come up to me and they will say, I want to do this for my father, I want to do this for mother, and I say, but please do double check whether you want to do it first for your own self.
Yeah.
What is it that you want to makes you happy? Because if it does not make you happy and you can't see yourself doing it for maybe your
Yes,
whole life,
yes.
maybe that's not the right. And thank you for sharing that story. I mean, last night in Jindal when I was teaching, it was my last class for the semester, and one of the students asked me, I want to do this for my family, and this is exactly what I told him. It is all part of, we all have our own paths and we have our own personal journeys, but I think such a important insight that you just shared. And then I think, I know you as Vineet Gupta, Jamboree. So please share something about the education. How did this shift happen to education?
Jamboree was started by Akrita, my wife.
Okay.
In 95.
95.
So she's pretty much the time we got married. And she's a great teacher. She had applied for her undergrad abroad and she couldn't go, but she felt that maybe students need guidance. So she started in a garage, that time in her parents' house. And due to her excellent teaching, she'd built a good brand in the Delhi region. And in Delhi, then we got married.
Was it the NFC? The garage?
The garage was in Vasant Vihar.
Vasant Vihar.
Yeah. The NFC was the second center.
Okay.
Because we used to live in NFC, her parents used to live in Vasant Vihar.
Okay.
So then the second center came. So after 2005, when I sold my packaging business, I had no work. So I said, okay, maybe I should help her.
Okay. So till then,
she was running it.
She was running it.
So 10 years.
10 years.
95 to.
And it was just one center?
No, it was that by that time there were 3 or 4.
3-4 centers in Delhi?
In Delhi.
Okay.
And so I said, okay, let me start helping her. And so I started to help her. And so she used to teach, I used to do counseling for study abroad. And gradually then our second daughter was born in 2003. And she was feeling burnt out. She used to teach like 8-9 hours a day.
Okay. And
so I joined her in 2005, and in March of 2006, she said, I'm not, if you want to handle it, you handle it, but I really don't want to continue to. So she gradually, we're in this together, but and she comes off and on, and she's pretty still involved in monitoring content, but full time she pretty much started to withdraw. And her time went totally to the children, and I started to look at the business.
And I think phenomenal business. I was reading 19 cities, 36 centers, something like that.
So then we started to grow, and we grew in many cities. And as you said, today we're in 19 cities.
India and Nepal.
I
think amazing. And I remember 2013 you were setting up the Nepal center when I had met you. And we were discussing about the possibilities.
We set up Singapore and UAE too. Okay. We ran that successfully for 10 years.
Okay.
But during COVID, then we had to shut both.
Okay. Down. So tell us a little bit more about the Jamboree story here. You joined and I've shared the numbers. Phenomenal growth. So what was driving you in Jamboree?
So I feel education is a very gratifying, and people use the word business, but it's a very gratifying profession. Jamboree, I realize, is the first place where you are teaching. Your students are paying you, and they also are so respectful and grateful.
Yes.
If they get good outcomes. Normally if you're buying any other products, your customers probably will not treat you in the same reverence.
Yeah.
So it's very gratifying. There's a real opportunity to make a difference to people's lives. So 2007 we coined this word that while we are teaching, but Jamboree really stands for transforming careers and transforming lives.
Wonderful.
So we started telling our people that when you see somebody, think about transforming her career, transforming her life. Don't think about just a GMAT or a GRE score. And that sort of philosophy of excellence, integrity, commitment, really producing the best scores, really working for students. Jamboree has not been a marketing organization. We've been a great teaching company and a great counseling company, and the business just grew. And I feel education is really about that, right? Of course, if you have to scale faster, etc., you have to put the marketing muscle.
Yeah.
But eventually, if you're not teaching well or if you're not doing your job well, students will know that and students will get it.
Yeah.
And so I think on that principle, Jamboree started to grow. After Delhi, we opened in Bangalore. That was the second city we opened in. And then gradually we started to spread across India. And in the foreign study abroad test prep market, we pretty much, I think, while there's no official data, but I think in India, we're one of the larger players. It's been very gratifying, and I really, once I got into that, and the big challenge first in a Jamboree was to replace Akrita, because she used to teach everything, and the brand was built around her.
Yeah.
But to sustain that excellence across so many locations, so we invested a lot into training, creating the right audio-visual materials, recruiting high-quality talent, training talent. People often ask me, and I say Jamboree is as much a teacher training company as it is a student training company. So we just created outstanding talent, and that led to Jamboree's growth, and that's been gratifying.
No, absolutely, and results speak for themselves. I mean, you're absolutely correct. Jamboree is the name for quality education, quality test prep, and what you use the term is not treated just as another business. It is a profession, and you are in the. I think that idea itself that shows the visionary that you are. That education is just not any other business. It is you are in the profession of transforming lives. And absolutely
and
correct.
we have these philosophies. I tell my people, if your student is not happy, don't shy away from refunding.
Yeah.
If you made a mistake, made a wrong commitment, we're not here to take. We have to do good work.
Yeah. And I think in test prep segment, you are working for SAT prep.
SAT, GMAT, GRE, those three are our biggest study abroad. We largely work in study
abroad.
TOEFL, IELTS, GMAT, GRE.
And how many students in a year approximately will
be
trained by you?
We service almost 10,000 students across our different locations.
Wonderful, amazing. And I know the quality of teachers. You are absolutely correct. It's like a teacher training company. I mean, I spent myself a month in one of your centers in Faridabad and NFC.
Yes,
I know the amount of effort that is put in by Jamboree to train its teachers, and that's why I think the results are also there, and the company has only grown over the last many years. And I think and I just want to double check this. You had sold off your business, and then you were still figuring out what you want to do, or it was like, I want to go to education?
No, I had sold off my business and I had not figured out what next.
Okay, right? You just started helping.
But in the back of my mind, I knew that Akrita needs help, and at least in the short run, till I figure out something, I'll probably help her out in Jamboree.
And then you fell in love with the place.
Well, maybe I didn't have a choice, because 1 year later she came and said, "Look, I'm." So,
but you really.
But I really loved the work. I continued.
And you really fell in love with the education, I think. And now we come to your work in setting up Ashoka and then Plaksha. And I remember after Jamboree, when I met you 2013, and I went to work at another organization. I stayed in touch, and I still remember that day in 2015 in August when I came to your office, and I didn't know, okay, Vineet is the founder at Ashoka, and I just saw up like at the back of your table, and I'm like at the chair, and I'm like, okay, what is this? And then you told me, okay, what are you doing? And I told you my international experiences, and then you said, why don't you come and do something for us? I think that's the story that I want to share. That is my story with you, and that's how I ended up in Ashoka. It was because of you and the vision that you had that day. But then tell us a little bit about how did higher education happen, and what idea germinated in, and we know the story. I mean, most of us know that, you worked with some fantastic entrepreneurs and co-founders, but what was going through your head?
So I think this 2000, maybe 5-6 was a pivotal year. So I sold the business. I started looking at Jamboree, and I used to find that, students with a 93, 94, 95% would get admission in a UC Berkeley, Wisconsin, Madison, top universities in the US. And back here in India, they would struggle to get into DU. So there was a student with 95%, I think he got into evening college somewhere. in DU. He had an admission to a UC Berkeley abroad, and he couldn't go. And some years later, he came back to prepare for GMAT, and I felt he'd lost his enthusiasm. He was a bright kid. So somewhere I felt that that made me realize the kind of shortage we have in higher ed capacity. When you look at these big names, big internet, Harvard, Stanford, Berkeley, Wisconsin, Madison, you realize that a large part of our kids, large percentage, can actually make it to those colleges.
Yeah.
They are not as selective as some of the best Indian colleges here,
colleges.
right? Just because we have so few.
Yeah.
So that made me realize that somewhere we letting down our students. Forget the average student. In 2005, I felt even for our bright students, we don't have enough colleges.
Yeah.
And that made me think that what will it take to set up a good, high quality, top university. And the US model, of course, still excites me. They've built some top notch institutions. And when you see the top private universities, Yale, Harvard, Chicago, they were all built around this model of philanthropy. So that's the line on which I started thinking. I socialized it with some of my friends. And the same time, our co-founders, whom all of you all know, Ashish, Pramath, Sanjeev, they're all thinking on the same lines. So we all got together. This was about 2007, and then the Ashoka journey started. And the campus finally opened in 2014. There were lots of ups and downs.
Yeah.
Private universities were not common at that point. The Haryana Private University Bill came in 2006. Jindal was perhaps the first university to be legislated, and Professor Rajkumar was very helpful in guiding us through legislation, etc. I first met him in, I think, 2009 or 10 when the campus was.
Okay.
It was a construction site. So then the Ashoka journey started. We started pitching to state governments. There were many options. We wanted to be close to Delhi because all of us belong to Delhi. The whole notion of collective philanthropy was very nascent. We also didn't know how it will shape up. It's very difficult to put money where you're very uncertain what's going to happen, right? People weren't sure we can set up a private university. We weren't sure how we'll acquire land. We weren't sure how this will all come together. So very uncertain times, but we navigated that. We got a lot of support from the Haryana government at that point. It was Mr. Huda's government, and he was very appreciative. He wanted Ashoka to come to Haryana. And that's the time when they allotted us land in Rajiv Gandhi Education City. And I think once that happened, then things started. That was about 2010, and then things started to unfurl.
And you were, you were also the pro vice chancellor at
I did that pro bono for the first. I was pretty much hands-on.
I worked with you, and I know, from construction of the campus to managing operations to admissions to outreach. You were.
So it was a fun time. So I learned a lot. From 2011 to 2018, it was.
And the way you managed people, and the way I could see the level of commitment that you had day to day. We used to see Vineet there, and pretty much you were the face of Ashoka for us. All of us, especially in the admissions, outreach.
It was fun time. I think it's been one of my most exciting times. Yes. A lot of work. I think I ended up working like 16-17 hours every day because I was running my company also.
Wow, so you were doing that. And you mentioned, you absolutely right. Those were today Ashoka is, along with Jindal, the by name of top quality interdisciplinary education. And you mentioned Professor Raj. He is my guru. I still work at Jindal, and I headed to
I know that.
The direct admissions and outreach after Ashoka. I went to Jindal, and I think I was blessed to work with Ashoka and then have the guidance of Dr. Raj in Jindal. I think both the institutions, I reimagined the way private institutions are looked down in India. High quality private education is possible in India.
Absolutely.
Both these institutions made it possible. And then philanthropy. I mean, both the institutions are philanthropic institutions. I mean, there we have Mr. Naveen Jindal as the
Yes.
benefactor of OP Jindal, and then collective philanthropy at Ashoka.
Yes.
I myself doing my research in philanthropy over the last 3 years, and I've studied the US model you mentioned. I mean, all these top private Ivy League institutions from Harvard to Stanford. I mean, that model is exciting. I think what I want to also touch upon here, from your own experience of raising so much money collectively, what were 2-3 learnings that you found out that, okay, this was the most challenging aspect of, and you mentioned it was not like Ashoka today is very known and a brand and everybody talks about Ashoka, and it takes like, it would be like this, it should have happened overnight. What were those challenges that
So,
in raising money?
raising the first tranches of money are very difficult. I don't recall the numbers now, but I think between 2007 or to 2014, we probably raised 200 to 250 crore in commitments. The first 7-8 years. Now in the next 10 years, we've raised 10 times more, right? Because we're established, we're credible, there's a brand. The first few years, it's really trust and faith. So people who know you extremely well, people who feel you have credibility, and not just me, all our co-founders, I think people with immense credibility. People wrote checks themselves, but people also wrote checks because they knew XYZ is writing a check. So that's really a leap of faith. And when I look at Ashoka, and by the way, the same thing happened at Plaksha later on, which I'll talk about. Again, raising that first 100 crore is extremely tough because it's really riding on credibility. Philanthropic money is very difficult to raise. But as you keep demonstrating success and as you keep walking the talk, it starts to become better. Now the good part, so that's the challenging part. It's a tough sell. It's hard to raise. Now what are the bright spots? The bright spots are that philanthropic capital gives you tremendous freedom to build an excellent institution. This money is not asking for a return on investment, right?
Yes.
The money is saying, look, take this money, go build something excellent.
Yes.
Right? Excellence is the only driver. Nobody's saying, okay, give my money back. I want 10%, I want 15%, I want this share. So the motive of that money is very pure. And the motive of that money drives excellence. So that's the good part. The second good part now is that post 1990, when liberalization happened, so many young Indians made wealth. India has had a strong tradition of philanthropy in education. Look at the Tatas. They set up Indian Institute of Science 100 years ago. Birla set up BITS Pilani in the 60s. So
even Banaras Hindu University.
Exactly. Thapad set up Thapad College. So, that tradition has been for long. So it's not a new concept in India. However, post 90s, so much wealth got created. There's so many companies now, over $100 million, billion dollar valuations. People coming out of good colleges, good education, have made money. And everybody can't set up a university, right? Some groups have, like you mentioned, Mr. Jindal and Shiv Nadar, etc. Some people can. They have more resources, they can write larger checks. But many entrepreneurs feel, look, while I can't set this up myself, I can become part of a collective effort, which can collectively create something outstanding. So that's the group I think we leverage on, where people come on board. And the second good thing happened was this CSR Act of 2013, 2014, post which every company has to donate 2% of their profits to any social activities, and education is a key part of it. So a fair bit of our philanthropic raise also comes through
CSR
corporate social responsibility. So I think these two, and we are seeing more and more of that. I couldn't have imagined that we can create another Plaksha with large philanthropic base.
Yeah,
But it happened, and you see many other efforts happening. There are other efforts in South India going on, in West of India. So there are many efforts going on this.
I think you
so
have
this whole
inspired-
collective notion is growing.
Inspired so many. I mean, success of Ashoka, Jindal, and you mentioned Shiv Nadar, Azim Premji.
Exactly.
I mean, all of these universities are now inspiring and you're absolutely correct. In the post 92 liberalization, new wealth being generated, and people have that money where they want to invest not on ROI of 10% or
Yes.
15%, but okay, excellence is that ROI, and I think the more aspirational Indians now want to have best of the institutions also in India. I think one of the things that I also want to now, it's a good cue into Plaksha. I mean, you said you worked, 15, 16 hours and Jamboree and Ashoka, but at the same time you are thinking of Plaksha, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So how did Plaksha came in your head? Because you had your hands full. I mean, you were
Yeah,
doing
I
so
do.
much.
So, in 2015,
Okay.
2015, we had our 25th anniversary celebration in IIT.
Okay.
So it was the 25th year of our graduation.
Okay.
So the entire batch met in IIT Delhi, and we went back. So while I used to go off and on, but this was the first formal time when you went back. And many of us felt that even in engineering, while the IITs have done some great work and we are immensely proud of their contribution, some of us felt that maybe we can think about a new playbook for engineering education. Right?
Okay.
So this seed of Plaksha started in around that 2015 time.
Okay.
Right.
The IIT Delhi reunion.
The IIT Delhi, and then I'm 91 class, but 92 class is very active, 93, 94, many of us are friends. So a small group, again like Ashoka, very similar.
Okay.
Again a small group took shape, 4-5 of us, in 2015.
Okay.
And we started thinking about it. Why don't we use the institution building principles of Ashoka, collective philanthropy, no matter what check you write, one seat on the board, excellence being the driving factor. But this time, let's focus on reimagining technology education. And the foundation is, by the way, called Reimagining Higher Education. So the 2015, this seed started to grow.
Wonderful.
And again, that group of 4-5, that expansion happened very quickly because IIT Delhi, the alum is very close. So this group of 4-5 very quickly grew to 20-25.
Okay.
All many non-IT people also.
Also
We have
joined.
yeah. But this group kind of just in a year or two, it grew, and there was the success of Ashoka.
Yeah.
Visible, right?
Visible.
That look, this group has done it, and some of our founders are common. Right? So people felt, look, this is doable. And again, we started the same playbook. We went to state governments, and that time Captain Amrinder Singh was the Chief Minister of Punjab. He was very welcoming, and that's how we ended up in Punjab. And we felt Chandigarh is where probably Hyderabad was 20 years ago when ISB came up there.
Absolutely.
And it's a great location, foothills. So we zeroed on that location, and then we started working towards it. And I don't know, sometimes things happen by design. 2018 is also the time, 2018 maybe, when I formally stepped down as the pro vice chancellor.
Yeah, you did.
Which when I was 24/7, and
Yeah.
and the next 4 years, it was 24/7 to build Plaksha.
Yeah.
So, and Plaksha then opened in 2021. So again, the founding principles are very similar. Collective philanthropy. There are over 125 donors now. We've recruited our 4th batch, and it is truly, I truly believe it is redefining engineering and technology education.
Absolutely. Plaksha
In
is
terms
doing
of disciplines, in terms of education, in terms of pedagogy, it is really a new playbook. And so that is quite heartening too, to see that I could have never imagined that. I mean, these institutions are not easy to build.
I am sure.
And having been part of Ashoka, I at least couldn't imagine in my dreams that another one will happen, but it did. So I'm grateful.
Hare Krishna, very good. I mean, absolutely. I mean, and to be building higher education, which is a highly regulated
Yes.
field. I mean, we were just discussing
Yes.
that there are a lot of, even though changes are happening, but there are still a lot of bureaucracy that you have to face to build in higher education, and private education has its own connotations.
Yes.
In India still. I mean, it's not the same playing field. That public institutions still there is. I mean, I can quote my guru Dr. Raj. He says that there is a unsaid hierarchy in public and private institutions. And within public institutions, it's the IITs, IIMs, and then central universities and the state universities, and then come the private universities. And like, I think he's right. So I think that is amazing to build a private institution, and Plaksha in its own right is now today reimagining the tech education as you want it to. Ashoka has done it for interdisciplinary. Jindal has done it for interdisciplinary law, business, so many. And Masters Union, we are sitting at Masters Union. We are doing learn by doing. For business and tech education, I think the success of Ashoka, Jindal has inspired so many others. But now I come to this question. I mean, there are a lot of people who want to build institutions such as Ashoka, Jindal, and I travel and Masters Union. They will say, "Oh, we want to build another Ashoka. We want to build another Masters Union. Tell me what this takes." So, Vineet, what does it take to build Ashoka?
I mean, the good news for all of these people is that India needs many more.
Yes.
Right? There was FMS had invited me for a TED talk in 2017, TEDx talk. And I had, I didn't know how this will unfold. This is 8 years ago. And I felt, look, maybe in the next 10 years, India will open up another 25, 30, 40 of those. I don't know. But I think while many private universities are coming, but very serious efforts are quite plenty. So already the success of many of these institutions, Ashoka, Plaksha, Jindal, Shivnadar, etc., has inspired many people, and you see some great efforts. Now, I think it takes a disruptive idea to create an Ashoka or a Jindal or a Masters Union, which again is disruptive in its own way, I must say.
Yeah.
And I think you have to dream big, you have to be bold, but a lot of the devil lies in execution. Right? And for every 5 great ideas, one may succeed, or out of every 10 ideas. But I would encourage people to really think and be bold and be creative and take the plunge. And for India as a country, if we keep creating these disruptive institutions every year, every 2 years, imagine what can happen in the next 20 years. Our higher education, already I see such a big contrast from 2013 when you and I were on the road trying to sell Ashoka to now. You see how the sector has matured.
It
has matured. Now you have a whole category of people who can do various functions in universities. It's a whole new cadre has got created, right? And there's new category of institutions coming up. In Jamboree, we also counsel undergraduate students on admissions.
Okay.
This whole Indian private university bouquet is now up for offer. So for every kid who's applying abroad, they are also considering an Indian private university.
Yes, absolutely.
That was unthinkable even till 2017, 2018.
Absolutely. Right? The counselors used to say, our students don't apply to Indian universities when you used to sell
So now that playbook, you go to any top school and you will see some Indian private universities amongst the top admits.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that playbook, and it's changing. It's changing as we are speaking.
Yes.
Right? So this is unfolding. India, I think, is the most exciting place for higher ed.
Absolutely. And I think the geopolitical headwinds also, I mean, globally, we are seeing the discourse that more and more students are looking now at Indian private institutions, and they are evaluating that question of ROI. Okay, I am going to spend so much. What is the ROI? I think the Indian institutions are winning on that ROI quotient. I mean, that blindly going abroad has stopped. And now people are now thinking more deeply, okay, is it worth it? What are my opportunities if I stay back in India? And I mean, a lot of these immersion programs and internationalization of Indian universities, I mean, here at Masters Union, at Jindal, at Ashoka, you have the best collaborations. I mean, Plaksha, I mean, you started with, I think one of the best institutions was a collaboration, the program that you started with Berkeley. I mean, imagine, Berkeley. Access to these institutions was rare, and now Indian institutions are able to bring these top brands to our students. So I think absolutely correct, and things are looking up. Now we have international branch campuses also being set up, and that's what's your take on that? I mean, international universities, what should they be aware of?
Firstly, I think it's welcome because India needs capacity. India needs 200-300 of these institutions in the next 20 years. I hope foreign universities come for the right reasons and they come for the long haul. It's not very different from the time when MNCs started coming into India. And now when you look at the entire spectrum of MNCs, companies like Hindustan Unilever, Nestle, they are Indian brands.
Yes.
They have become Indian, right? Because they came with this deep commitment to be in India and work for India and create brands that suit Indian audience. By the way, education, universities outlast companies by decades and centuries.
Absolutely.
If businesses last 50, 70, 100 years, universities last centuries. So I hope universities, foreign universities, come here for the long haul.
Long haul.
They come here to make India their home. They come here to be deeply invested, and they come here to really and then really consider that this is going to be their home. And they will create a version of themselves here, which may be similar to back home, but which could also be different. I mean, Suzuki is another example.
Absolutely
right.
right.
So, if universities come with that mission, I think it will expand the sector. It will create an outstanding cadre of faculty. It will, of course, be a boon for our students. So it's very, very welcome. And I believe for every 3 or 4 institutions or 5 that come in, maybe one will succeed, right? And again, that whole element of execution, getting your strategy right, and being here for the right reasons will count a
very
lot.
important. Absolutely correct. I agree with you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Vineet, finally, I just want to ask one personal question, my own reflection on you. How do you stay so calm and composed and cool? I have worked with you. Even in the heydays of when we were selling Ashoka and you were still unsure about, okay, where this will head. The undergraduate program we were launching. You always are somebody who is very calm and cool and composed. All the chaos that is going around, you will walk into that room and it's like, and you're very grounded and very, very humble. You give people their space and you try to work with them. How do you maintain this?
I don't know. I don't think it's any conscious. My family may not agree. Maybe the turmoil happens all inside.
Yeah.
I think I love being and building teams and being with people.
Yeah, that you are. You are a
so
people's person.
I think trust. I work a lot with trust. I believe that's a good way to empower people, work with trust, and then they go and do some amazing things.
No,
you know?
absolutely.
Some of our team members have been extraordinary, and in the way they have handled things and done things. So there's no design, Ankur. It's
and because you work with some of the best people.
Yes.
Some of the smartest people in the room are working with you. And it's not easy to make smart people work with each other because.
And I'm most glad about now, Ashoka created this whole cadre of professionals.
Yes.
Like yourself.
Yes.
Who have gone across the industry.
Yes. Even today we remember our time at Ashoka, and
they've wherever they've gone, and I meet them all across in many industry forums.
And with pride we say that we work for the founding team at Ashoka and with Vineet Gupta, Pramath Rasina and all this. I was meeting Pramath. Pramath was at Jindal just last month for a lecture on philanthropy, and I met him, and I proudly remembered that I traveled with you also, with Pramath also. I was in Dubai. We hosted.
Yes, Muscat we went together.
Yes, and then with you I traveled, and so I think those experiences have reimagined and reshaped us also. What is possible because before Ashoka, the option for me in education, I'm still figuring out if there is a career in education, in admissions and outreach, where would it lead? I'm myself an engineer and an MBA, used to work in an IT company. I could have never imagined that I will devote my life to education sector. But then I think high quality education, Ashoka really opened that eyes for not only me but for thousands of us and others now you said now there is an ecosystem in India.
Yes.
Where
I think lots more will come.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vineet, for being who you are. And I think one more question I want to ask you: what is next for Vineet? What are you working on? Is there something that you want to share? What is
well, I think I something keeps brewing,
okay.
But let's see. Nothing yet for me to be able to say in very concrete terms.
Wonderful.
But I think I will continue to work for the cause of students in India and do whatever little bit I can.
Please continue doing that. Thank you so much for pushing the envelope on what is possible in education.